In a kingdom veiled in shadows and sadness, there dwelled a young maiden named Elowen. Unlike the other maidens, she had a beauty as fair as winter snow and lips as red as blood. Elowen's mother, the queen, passed away mysteriously, leaving her in the care of her stepmother, Lady Isolde. Elowen's mother's death remained a mystery in the kingdom. Some whispered of illness, while others spoke of foul play. The truth was shrouded in shadows, leaving Elowen with unanswered questions about her mother's untimely demise. Lady Isolde, though beautiful, had a heart as cold as ice. Fueled by jealousy of Elowen's ethereal beauty, she plotted to rid herself of the girl. One day, Lady Isolde called upon the royal huntsman and instructed him to lead Elowen deep into the forest and end her life. Lady Isolde lured Elowen into the woods under the guise of a leisurely stroll to admire the forest's beauty. With cunning words and false promises, she led Elowen deeper into the heart of the forest until they reached a secluded spot where the huntsman awaited his grim task. In the depths of the foreboding forest, the huntsman, consumed by his dark task, poised to strike the fatal blow. Yet, as his hand trembled with the weight of impending doom, a flicker of compassion stirred within him. How could he extinguish the life of this ethereal maiden, her beauty a stark contrast to the shadows around her? Torn by conflicting emotions, he granted Elowen a fleeting reprieve, but in the depths of his soul, a vow took root. Should their paths cross again, mercy would not stay his hand a second time. Elowen stumbled upon a hidden cottage where 7 dwarfs resided. The dwarfs were busy mining for precious gems when they discovered Elowen seeking refuge in their cottage. Startled by her sudden appearance, they quickly realized she was in need of help and welcomed her with open arms. They welcomed her warmly and treated her like family. Meanwhile, Lady Isolde awaited news of Elowen's demise. When the huntsman returned with a heart-shaped box containing what he claimed to be Elowen's heart, Lady Isolde rejoiced in her twisted victory. Little did she know that Elowen still lived, safe within the embrace of the dwarfs. As the sun rose and set, Elowen found joy and purpose in the company of the dwarfs. They shared their knowledge with her, teaching her how to craft beautiful things from the earth and live in harmony with the forest. Despite the distance, Lady Isolde's heart grew colder with envy, her dislike for Elowen turning into a deep-seated resentment. With each new day, Elowen's skills grew. She learned to carve a wood, weave cloth, and sing songs that made the birds stop to listen. The dwarfs' simple, honest ways became her own. Yet, far away in her castle, Lady Isolde's envy simmered like a dark storm on the horizon, growing more intense as time passed. Lady Isolde had learned of Elowen's survival through whispers that traveled on the wind and through the words of creatures that roamed the forest. A mirror, enchanted to speak only truth, revealed to her Elowen's refuge among the dwarfs. Driven by her dark heart, Lady Isolde had ventured into the forest, determined to see her sinister wish fulfilled, not knowing that her actions would awaken a power far beyond her understanding. One dusky evening, Lady Isolde, disguised as a frail old peddler, approached Elowen's new home. In her hand, she held an apple, its skin shining a deep, enticing red. Unbeknownst to Elowen, a sinister truth lurked beneath the surface. Lady Isolde had woven a malevolent enchantment into the apple, a venomous curse designed to plunge whoever dared to taste it into an eternal slumber from which there would be no awakening. Elowen, innocent and unaware of the malice that drove the peddler, accepted the fruit. With one bite, she fell into a deep, unnatural sleep. Overwhelmed with joy at having Elowen's life in her hands, Lady Isolde escaped, reveling in her twisted victory. When the dwarfs came home, they found Elowen as still as stone, no breath upon her lips. Heartbroken, they crafted a coffin of crystal and gold, a resting place as beautiful as she was. There, Elowen lay, as if asleep, untouched by time's passing hand. Years flowed like a quiet river, and stories of the sleeping beauty traveled far beyond the forest's edge. Princes from distant lands ventured to see the maiden whose beauty was said to eclipse the sun, but none could break the spell that held her. Then came a prince. his heart shadowed by desires as dark as those that had poisoned Lady Isolde's soul. He looked upon Elowen not with love, but with a hunger for the power her beauty could grant him. Only a malevolent and benevolent intent, as dark as the one who first cast the spell, possesses the power to shatter the ancient curse woven into the original apple. In a moment driven by dark ambition, he kissed her, hoping to claim her for his own. But the moment his lips met hers, Elowen awoke, transformed. Her eyes shone with a fierce, otherworldly glow, and within her, a new strength stirred. Her voice, once sweet and gentle, now carried the weight of power and retribution, echoing with a promise of justice. In the distance, Lady Isolde had kept a watchful eye on Elowen through dark magic and twisted spies, her envy festering like a wound that refused to heal. She had not been present physically all those years, but her malevolent presence lingered in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. When Elowen emerged from her enchanted slumber, Lady Isolde's fear was palpable. The once gentle maiden now exuded a power that made even the strongest tremble. With a single gesture and a few whispered words, Elowen unleashed a darkness that consumed Lady Isolde from within, her screams echoing through the forest. Lady Isolde, shattered and vanquished within the confines of her desolate ivory tower, after she heard that Elowen had awakened, succumbed to a consuming fury that drove her to mercilessly shatter and obliterate every object in her path. Amidst the chaos of destruction, as fragments cascaded to the ground like fallen stars, a solitary red apple, once perched on a table, now rolled ominously towards her. Unbalanced and consumed by her own tumultuous emotions, Lady Isolde staggered towards the tower's window, plunging into the unforgiving depths of the forest below. Meanwhile, back within the forest, Elowen turned her gaze to the prince who had disturbed her rest. Her eyes held no mercy, only a cold determination. She spoke words that sealed his fate, condemning him for his selfish desires and awakening forces he could not comprehend. The prince, overwhelmed by guilt and terror, knelt before Elowen in a final act of desperation. Knowing the darkness he had unleashed, he chose to end his own life rather than face the consequences of his actions. With a swift and decisive motion, he drew the blade at his side, turning it against his own throat in a desperate attempt to evade the horrors that awaited him, should Elowen's grasp ever reached him. Elowen's descent into darkness was marked by a gradual transformation fueled by a thirst for vengeance and power. As she embraced her newfound strength, a malevolent force took root within her, twisting her once pure intentions into a sinister purpose. Those who had wronged her faced Elowen's wrath, each meeting a fate more cruel and unforgiving than the last. Her actions dripped with malice as she sought retribution, leaving a trail of devastation in her wake. As Elowen's power grew, so did the darkness within her. The line between good and evil blurred as she delved deeper into the shadows, consumed by a thirst for dominance and control. Her once noble cause twisted into a ruthless pursuit of power at any cost. The dwarves stood in silent terror as they watched their once sweet and innocent Elowen transform into the very monster that they had sought to shield her from. However, as Elowen's reign of terror unfolded, the dwarves were not spared her wrath. They too met a gruesome end, joining the ranks of those who had dared to defy her. The blood-red apples became a symbol of the price exacted by Elowen's corrupted soul. Each act of vengeance was tainted with the essence of these cursed fruits, their crimson hue mirroring the bloodshed that stained her hands. The tale of Elowen spread like wildfire, a cautionary warning of beauty turned to darkness by envy and ambition. It was not a story of redemption, but of choices made in shadows, where the price paid in blood-red apples served as a haunting reminder of the depths to which one could fall when consumed by darkness.